All right, we're going. Welcome to the show.
Awesome. This is great.
I got Ryan Good here as part of EO in a car. So we're just going to take a little drive like we normally do and try to share a little bit about what's going on with EO. Okay, so EO, Ryan Good. So why don't we, just before we get into the EO part of it, just give people an idea of where you've come from and what you've been up to and what you're doing these days.
Okay, so right now I own a handful of businesses.
The first time I met you, I was like, what?
Yeah.
I was like, how do you find time to do anything?
I just finished actually selling. It was a long process, but I sold a restaurant that I started 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And which was quite interesting because that's kind of the time when I joined EO. And that sale went through last spring, but certainly, being in EO helped me through that. It was a struggle.
Yeah.
And right now I have Chainsaw, which is a bar. I have Endeavours, which is an air purification company. That was my first company.
Yeah.
And I have Management, which is a management company. We have properties.
So how'd you get into entrepreneurship?
Well, I was working I was managing a mechanical company, and I have a gas license. I'm a gas technician.
Yeah.
And I was managing the operations of the company, and that company needed to downsize, going down to a third of the size, and so my position was going to be redundant. I needed to find another position somewhere, another job. I was just starting a family at the time, so obviously, and I knew that it was difficult. Like, I knew that it would be difficult for me to work for anyone. I was running that company, and so I thought, I needed to do something where I was in control, and that's when I started Endeavours, and it was a risk, and it was a lot of work, and certainly it would have been nice to have an organization like EO around at that time. Now, of course, I wouldn't have qualified, but I think learning, all the obstacles are the way. Learning throughout that process gave me confidence and expertise to start all the other businesses that I've ran so far, and the ones that I search for right now.
Cool. So, and you've drawn on this a couple of times in terms of EO being this resource, not only, when you started hoping that, or wishing that there had been a network like that around, but then also through the sale of the business in the spring, and saying that EO has been helpful. So, you're a founding member of EO Southwestern Ontario.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what made you, first of all, what made you decide to start a chapter? There's nothing easy in that. You're running all these businesses, you got a family. Why not just start another thing?
Yeah, well, so the thing is that I qualified for EO. I did own a company called PropertyGuys.com, and we grew that, and we were doing $1 million a year of that. So I did qualify then. I did do some events with EO Toronto.
Oh, okay.
And so I knew about EO Toronto. My good friend was in EO there, and he became president of EO Toronto. But especially at the time, I had no interest in driving to Toronto. I was very much against driving to Toronto. and that was 10 years ago when it was even easier to drive to Toronto.
Yeah, now it's a cluster.
So when the opportunity, Brian Hansel and a bunch of others, they reached out to me through that old connection that I was on the list, and said, "Hey, we're thinking about, we'd like to make a push to start a new chapter in Southwestern Ontario." And so at that time, I thought, yeah, let's do it. Let's jump on, because if I knew if the chapter was going to be centered in this area and we could have a forum in my hometown or the town that I live in, then it would work. But I'll tell you, that's been the best, is even though our chapter's new and we've got a kind of attrition rate that we got in and out, all the people that I'm meeting, I'm learning. I learned so much. That's the best part of EO is the learning from the fellow entrepreneurs.
Well, I mean, I think there's this. I mean, I'm a fan of John C. Maxwell's writing. I'm not sure I'm a fan of the guy, but I'm a fan of his writing. And he's got this one law of leadership. It's called the law of the inner circle. And there's a lot of people that talk about it that are really successful. That you are the average of the people you hang out with the most.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And I think that's been, to your point, one of the coolest parts of EO for me has just been around hanging out with people that get it, who are doing it, who aren't waiting around. We're in a group of people that make the change they want to see.
Well, exactly. And the other thing about that is that you feel like if you don't, like the accountability factor is like if you feel like you don't, like there's that peer pressure, I guess, that subtle peer pressure that acts on you, that you feel like you're not meeting your own standards if you're not staying up with everyone else. And that's important. I feel that's so important.
Totally, man. I couldn't agree more.
Because like what drives us is like we have our inner drive, but it's so easy to get complacent when we get busy with family and everything like that. And it's like, what will hold you accountable to you say you're going to do it, but then your peer group, when you go see, like when I go see you the next time at an event, it's like Rob checks in with me and, oh no, I haven't done that. I feel like an idiot.
Yeah, I'm not letting that happen. So then it's been 4 years, or almost 4 years. I guess come spring it'll be 4 years of the chapter.
Mm-hmm.
From the people I've talked to in EO Canada, seems like making some really good traction and getting some momentum in a young chapter. I mean, you got to get over that hump of inertia where, there's nothing now. Obviously, there's something. But over the 4 years, what's been the biggest thing outside of like a general idea of learning and meeting cool people? But what's been the biggest kind of value for you as an entrepreneur, family man, business owner, as being part of EO?
If I could distill it, I could probably list if I thought about it for a long time, I could list a big list. But I think the one thing is just being able to make good decisions. The value comes from giving you the tools through this, hanging out with the right people and doing forum and doing all these things, giving you the tools to make good decisions about, because we have to make, as entrepreneurs and husbands and wives and parents and all that stuff and bosses, we have to make decisions. I think we have to make decisions like hundreds of them a day, like really. And EO, I think, just gives you the tools to make them better.
Can you give us an example?
Well,
like the sale of the business in spring. Yeah,
that business it was doing well, but it was very stressful for me, the restaurant, and we were doing well over $1 million a year in that business as well. But as many of us know, you can make $1 million, but you can lose $1 million. It doesn't mean the one thing about EO is like the big joke is it's one thing to make $1 million. And that's the minimum qualification, but many of us might be losing 1.2. So there's no profitability metric, but I'll tell you,
that's totally fair.
And I think that a lot of us are in that. Like 1 minute we're up and 1 minute we're down, and just because we're up doesn't mean we won't be down next quarter. And my forum group, like I think that if I truly believe that if I didn't have EO, I'd probably still be in that business right now, and I probably would be like having many more gray hairs and not be healthy.
Well, you've already got a couple gray hairs.
A couple. I have like all gray, and I swear, like this, it helps you make those decisions that are tough.
So then, a couple minutes left. Can you give us a little bit of an insight in terms of what the global events are all about? When I talk to people, I talk about how at a chapter level, we've got forum, we've got learning events, we've got social events. On a regional level, we're doing, collaborative events with other chapters. And then there's like global events, which I haven't had a chance yet to go to any, but I know it's on my big to-do list in 2018 to get out to one beyond the GLC, because it's going to be in Toronto.
Right, yeah.
What's the value that comes from, meeting entrepreneurs from all over the world?
It improves the exposure to other people, other ways of thinking, and you can meet some, super interesting people from all around the world. They all, I think there's always this central thing that we have in common when it comes to EOers in general, but then there's this stuff on the outside that makes us unique, and even within our small culture of southwestern Ontario. But think about when we I was at the Mexico University in Mexico City, and you meet people from all over the world, and my goodness, just that exposure and the ideas. My next business right now is all about trying to figure out how to do trade overseas.
Cool.
And I probably wouldn't have that inspiration or empowerment if I didn't see what people are doing all around the world.
That's so cool. Yeah, and it's interesting on that idea too. Like even just last week, I sent an email to an author who wrote a book called From Great to Excellent, and it's kind of like a spin-off of Jim Collins' Good to Great.
Yeah.
And the CEO and the author saw that I was an EO, so my email signature.
Oh, yeah.
And he replies back in less than a day and says, I'm part of EO Detroit.
Oh, nice.
Why don't you come down to Detroit, come to one of our events? You can stay at my place. I'm just like, what the F is this? I don't even know the guy from Adam.
Yeah.
And I'm being welcomed into his home.
Yeah.
Like that, it's just...
Well, there's a general level, there's for sure that there's that one, that benefit of when a fellow EOer always takes the call of another EOer.
Yeah.
And even emails, whatever you're filtering, but if something comes through from someone EO, everyone, it's like this unwritten rule, but people do it. It's like you respond immediately, or you answer the call, and that's the other thing about global is it I think almost every major city in the world probably has an EO chapter. So if you're traveling for business or pleasure, or if you want to start business or want to explore opportunities overseas or anywhere within Canada as well, then it's a great network, and it's not about obviously the solicitation part, but it's just about people helping each other out.
That's so cool. So what kind of person, from your perspective, like what kind of situation would they be? What kind of person would they be that would be a good fit for EO Southwest Ontario?
I think the biggest thing is the desire to be better. Like, I think one thing that drives all good EOers, and when I say all good ones, ones that last, a good fit, is the drive to just be better. Be a better dad, be a better mom, be a better boss, be a better business person, be a better whatever. Be better, be a better individual. I truly believe that you can do an executive MBA or an MBA and spend like $100,000, or you can join EO for $5,000, and you will get way better return on your money, like times 100.
That is such a great way to put it.
By joining EO, and it'll 1 year is just the beginning, but it just gets better after that. It's like when you move to somewhere. The first year is just getting your bearings. The second year is when you get deeper, and some people don't. Some EOers, and I've seen a lot come and go. Some EOers don't give it that. Some new members don't give it that shot. But I think once you give it that shot, and it's
like life. Nothing happens in a year. I mean, sure, a lot can happen, but in terms of building relationships with people, it takes time. And even when we network in like chambers of commerce and associations and stuff like that, yeah, sure, we're going there to figure out ways to recruit clients, but we're going there to build relationships.
Yeah.
And it never happens in 12 months. It always happens in more than 12 months. And I think that was kind of like my big perspective when I joined, was just like, okay, I'm going to do this for minimum 2 years, probably 5, and see what comes from it. And then if it keeps rolling, then I'm going to stay. But I mean, even just in my experiences, it was a little bumpy off to start with.
Yeah,
even now, I'm in for probably life.
and I think that's exactly it. It's like you got to, and they always say about EO is that it's a carry your own bags organization.
Yeah,
like,
which I love.
Basically, you get what you put into it. And certainly there's certain people, great EO members that decide that they get enough out of it for whatever reason, without doing, just going to some events and whatever. But then there's people that drink the Kool-Aid and go crazy, and you can see their changes. I'm trying to, for me, I would say it's a balance. Everyone's busy, so you've got to manage your business and family, and EO does take some time. But if you put in the minimum amount, you're going to get a great return.
Awesome. Well, thanks for doing this, dude.
Yeah, thanks for driving me around.
Hey guys, if you want to check out some more information or interviews, you can go right here. Or if you want to check out some I'm in a Cars with Rob Murray, you can go right here. So I hope you enjoy it. Leave your comments below and share away. Thanks, guys.